The hall was chill with a tense air, and those present all sat in complete silence. Then there was Jie Yuan-chun, with her lips slightly curled into a mirthless sneer. And at the center of it all sat Jie Xing-shun, unsure of what to say next. Okay, something's off. Well, everyone, Jie Yuan-chun, seated next to the hierarchy seat upon which Xing-shun sat, smoothly takes control of the situation and begins the assembly. Honored heads of houses, lords of each family, their proxies, members, and she nods lightly, acknowledging our awkward presence, and little Xing-shun's guests who stay here at our H Corp seems to be extending without a foreseeable end. Did I click something? This just feels weird. Where's the voice? Okay, whatever. Isn't she technically from Q Corp? What's up with her acting like she's any less of an outsider than we are? Yeah, and did everyone catch that our H Corp? Regardless of everything else, the fact that she hijacked the meeting from the get-go is ridiculous, especially with Jing Xing-shun, the family hierarchist herself, presiding over this official assembly. Clearly she is using the pretense of assisting the hierarchy to assert her own dominance over these proceedings. As we are all aware, venerable former GMU has always discussed with and confided in me about the matters of the greatest import, the momentaneous of which steered the very course of Acorn's prospects. I'm sorry, I gotta search this up, bro. I'm getting so weirded out by this. Intervallo. What was this? I can't remember anymore, bro. Did I say interval 6? Wasn't it like it's supposed to be Bro. I need to figure out this is really just no voice acting. As it is really catching me off. Yes, the no commentary will help. There really is just no voice acting. Okay. I just gotta keep reading, guys. Okay. Even after I departed the family for Q Corp, venerable former GMU has always written missives to confer such matters with me. Something about it smells suspicious, but we already missed the window to challenge her to present us with proof without breaking decorum. Thus, as it naturally follows that I would be the inheritor of the venerable GMU's will, I should be presiding over this regular assembly, which we convene now to discuss and determine the future of H Corp. What a grandiose and self-important introduction. It seemed clear to me that she considered herself to be the main character of the scene or something. Your grace certainly befits your station, Lady Yuan-chun. We are all impressed by your utmost dedication to the my tongue is still being weird, bro. I just gotta get used to it. Citizenry of Hangyun, despite your already saturated schedule. Big forehead, bro. We can hardly thank you. Not this guy, the freaking lady. We can hardly thank you enough for your magnanimity, Lady Hyun-chun. Ah, my parents. A true shame that they couldn't be here. Have always sung praises of your expertise, Lady Hyun-chun. Responses from the participants are just as protracted, only obscure instead of arrogant. As heads of some of those houses were under investigation for consulting with the forces foreign to Hong Kong. Oh, I got. Sorry about that. Go on. My mouth is wetting itself right now. That might have helped. Bruh, saliva is always the answer for some reason. Never mind, I can still hear it. This is gonna be such a challenge. Their vacuum was filled by their children's generation, many of whom we had the pleasure of meeting during the family hierarchy war. I almost had a voice crack right there. Very well, and shall we? Welcome Jia Xing-shun, the next person to sit upon the seat of Hong Kong's family hierarchy. Greetings, I am... Bro, now, let us begin. For many years, all those who have gathered here have toiled day and night for the eternal prosperity and growth of H-Corp. Jia Xing-shun's expression immediately sours as Hyun-chun is unceremoniously cuts off her self-introduction. First on the agenda for this assembly are urgent discussions and passage of new major policies, items that have been tabled for far too long. Distributive contribution rights auctioning policy, quarterly amnesty policy. Oh, hold on, big sister Hyun-chun. My goodness. Passing the distributive contribution rights auctioning policy would allow the open auction for any remaining rooms the day before reconstruction days, and the quarterly amnesty wouldn't do anything but give unfair advantage to certain families and high net worth individuals by guaranteeing them large real estate assignments regardless of their performance in the previous quarter. Jia Xing-shun stutters a little, flustered before continuing. My point is, these policies are going to rattle H-Corp's economy the moment they go into effect. Besides, these policies were pretty much drawn to favor lining the pockets of a select few families and high-ranking officials of H-Corp. Did it sound like I said? Never mind. If I may, venerable hierarch, lining the pockets. Why am I speaking for you like that? What? Figure. That is quite an odd turn of phrase to refer the bare minimum of respect the society might repay to its highest contributing members, don't you think? You have enough money, bro. You don't need more. Sorry about that, my ear was itchy. Oh. Oh, before we continue, Xing-shun, I'm not entirely certain if you are aware, but ever since the accession of the new family hierarchy, the perceived value of Hong Kong has been racing to the, for lack of a better word, rock bottom. Clearly, this demonstrates Hong Kong's concern and its lack of faith in the newly appointed family hierarchy. Therefore, it naturally follows that our most urgent task at hand is to put a stop to this value and reputation, freefall, and restore prosperity and greatness to Hong Kong once again. Yeah, okay, and that's the family hierarchy's job, right? Why are you... If you had peruse... Wait, what? H-Corp's Articles of Association. Who has known that should H-Corp be deemed to be in a state of crisis, the four great houses and the board of directors' voice may also carry de facto power in the assembly. The board of directors, that's us, has determined that we are now in a state of crisis. State of crisis? What crisis? Everything that led to my accession to the family hierarchy was legitimate. How do I... whatever, dude. Down to the final approval. These unseemly rumors and slander are taking our value, which we have built up assiduously through years upon years of toil. So what is this if not a state of crisis? And who would adopt the new family hierarchy qualities when this decline was coincided precisely with her ascension? Yunshun was somehow turning the room against Xingshan without presenting a single shred of evidence, portraying her as some burdensome hierarch who was single-handedly taking H-Court's value. No one in the assembly, not a single representative from any families present, stepped up to point out how Jie Xingshan's swift actions were what finally repelled the outside forces that had marched right up to Hongguan's front yard. Or how she deftly maneuvered her forces to quell the embers of war by quickly taking control of chaos within Dongguanyun. She hadn't showed any glaring signs of incompetence since her accession despite her relative inexperience, but Even in Hongguanyun's board of directors, the heads of each family averted their eyes as though all of that had somehow inconceivably slipped their minds. Why does my teeth feel weird? Oh, because I keep biting with down weirdly. Beefsteak, god dang it! I'm talking to my teeth, not people, bro. So, you take yourself to be a qualified individual for that responsibility, Xingshan? Very well, then proceed. While waiting for you to begin your briefing before the assembly regarding the last 30 years quarterly net revenue records for Hongguanyun's singularity-related business, the calculations on next year's fiscal debt forecast, and the exact recipe and variation numbers for the boluses that have been registered in the last 5 years. The venerable hierarch has not received that data prior to the meeting. You must all be aware of the chaos that followed the session. We are still indexing all available materials too. Isn't that funny? Not once in the history of Hongguanyun has the family hierarchy ever failed to provide immediate and detailed answers regarding Hongguanyun's historical statistics. About Jie Xianchan must have known all along too. She must have known how the previous family hierarchs were all directly supplied with an immense repository of information through the Xinjiang worm or something of their equivalent. She's using it to target Xingshan's weakness, following as Bro, every time I talk, I feel my teeth, my bottom teeth, moving weirdly around my mouth. So it's making it harder for me to talk. What's going on? Why is it moving like this? Hold on. Darling asking questions, the first family hierarch without the Anamna one couldn't possibly answer. The responsibilities tied to the venerable seat of the hierarch, Jiamu, are matched only by the great power bestowed upon it. That's how we to lead the matters of the wing to someone who is somewhat evidently unprepared for the task. Given the present circumstances, our hands may be forced to call to vote the motion of no confidence. That's supposed to be a terrible way for me to read. The motion of no confidence? The motion of no confidence, when passed by the high-ranking political officials, can result in the removal of the chief executive from office. So they're going after Xingshan's power. So this is the picture of Xie Xuanchen wanted to paint. Impotent family hierarch stammering and stumbling through her first meeting to the total and near anonymous, there we go, lack of support from the H Corp board of directors. Whatever jargon they're on about seems to me I hate freaking I can't speak though. Whatever jargon they're on about seems to me they've got not an ounce of respect for the last was. Never trust twats overly obsessed with numbers and optimizations. They'll be the first ones to kick you out the moment they no longer see you as useful. You're not the only one who's pissed off. So can you please stop shaking your leg for a second? Oh! Damn. You did not have to call me out, Ishmael. Don't need to make our frustration any more obvious, you know. I'm still shaking my leg. My arse would have left the chair long ago if it weren't for this last. H Corp. Should the board of directors anonymously vote in favor of motion, certain parts of the family hierarch's power will be removed. It's entirely possible that she will become a hierarch in name only. Oh, so they're threatening to fire her unless she falls in line. This is a needlessly convoluted way to. The assembly will now consider the motion of no confidence. Are there any objections to bringing the motion of no confidence against the family hierarch Jia Xingshun to the floor? Hold on! The vote of no confidence is an item you can invoke so lightly. The Shi family has no objections. Bruh. Okay. Let's say the Wang family has no objections either. Chill family too. Hold on. I got more saliva in my mouth again. What's going on today, bro? The rest of the previous family heads seems to have changed precisely nothing. Those in power were more youthful faces, but their tongues still carried the same old resistance to change. The new family's heads were just as uncooperative as ever, and everyone seemed to be solely interested in staying in Jia Xingshun's good graces. New faces, same old. And needless to say, Heathcliff wasn't the only sinner fuming with rage. "'Tis far too vexing to simply watch and do not. Right? And you wouldn't let it. I knew you wouldn't let this slide, Don Quixote. They're walking all over Xingshun like she's not even here. Forsooth, we cannot let such injustice transpire unabated. Hey, seems like we're both on the same page. That's it. I'm not going to hesitate to make myself heard again. This time, I want to be courageous, with your help, Don Quixote. Come on, let's do this together. Okay? The two blondes, bro. Very well. I am in agreement. Also the two short ones, too. Wait a minute. We got the two short ones ready to spring into actions for the other short one. No. Yeah, then let's go on three at the same time. If there are no objections, 1, 2, the assembly will put this resolution to vote in a month, and 3. Here, objection! Bloody hell! Oi, have you gone mental? Sinclair stood tall, at the center of the entire room's undivided astonishment. Alone. Sinclair, my boy. You're my favorite character, but Don Quixote, still firmly in her seat, gazed upon Sinclair's proud stand and rubbed her nose. Young Sinclair, thou hast evolved indeed. What an unmitigated pursuer of justice thou hast become, with such unrelenting fervor and utter disregard for decorum. Certainly mine efforts have finally borne fruit. What the hell? Did Don Quixote or Hiko Sally rub off on you or something? No! Wait! No! No! What happened there, Don Quixote? We were going to... What happened to objecting together? Huh? I had taken thy suggestion to mean that we must voice our dissatisfaction due to official channels borrowing the titles of the illustrations, Red Gaze and the Department of LCC. Disputes in succession of power on such a high-level government are hardly ever resolved with rash grandstanding. Was thou not agree? Why are you normal all of a sudden? Lad, what just happened? What happened to the clammy, meek boy? Well, that... I guess I just assume that this is how Limbus Company rolls now. There seems to have been an unexpected outburst from Xing Shun's guest. Withdraw your objection, and we'll consider this a momentary loss of control, and not enter it as an official statement. It was, Sinclair's eyes were shaking like someone with his life on the line. If not, I take it that you have full confidence in her abilities. So please, I encourage you to elaborate. When and how will Xing Shun demonstrate her aptitude for the responsibilities of the family hierarchy? His voice continues to shrivel into a corner. He can't. And how could anyone? How could anyone, when we all had a very clear view of her path to ascension? During the family hierarchy evaluation, Jiabao then donated the coins he received from Jia Qian to you. Essentially, you pity-partied your way to victory. Pity-partied? And for your ascension, Jia Qian and those outsiders from the upstart company had to, almost literally, carry you to the seat. Has there even been a single victory attained by your own hands in the entire process? But have we not all been witnesses to the qualities she exhibited during the family hierarchy evaluation as her own accession? You must have no shame, snaking your forked tongue in the audience of both heaven and earth like an unwitting buffoon. That's when quiet, even footsteps broke through Jia Yuanshun's mercilessly dismantling of Jia Xingshun. Yeah, I see the point. The pinky! The hierarchy, with her grace, needs only demonstrate her already established qualifications before all. This is no place for an outsider to speak. But proceed. Just how will she prove herself before us? What an odd statement, coming from a fellow outsider who's been chattering for minutes on end. Forgive me, I could only presume from your verbosity that the right to speak in this forum was open to all outsiders. You have said it yourself, no? That the vote on the no confidence resolution will proceed in a month. Okay. That seems to give the venerable hierarch a month to regain the trust of each family. What? It is rather clear to me that there are many who find their own defeat in the family hierarch war difficult to accept. Such a doubt is easily resolved. A match between clans should lay out the results quite obviously. Very well, a fair challenge between clans, which would preclude the participation of the family hierarch Taishu Pags in the GLN yards. So you would remove her Pao and Jur before the game even begins? Why not take this test a series of sparring matches in both academia and martial arts? If such is the case. What audacity! Do you truly have that much faith in Jia Xingshun's abilities? You must know the consequences of failing these matches now. It would be an unanimous, one-sided end to the vote of no confidence, and naturally, any and all rights appertaining to the family hierarchy shall be transferred to the board of directors. That is fine by us. You are free to choose any champion whom you see fit. Unfortunately, your underlings don't seem to share your inflated confidence. But in the midst of the confused, flabbergasted silence of the other sinners, a clear... Oh my god, this stupid freaking... saliva, bro. A clear, carefree, yet defiant voice rings out. Hong Lu's retort. That's not true at all, big sister Yuan Chun. We actually have just as much confidence in Xing Shan as she does. His wide eyes stared directly and unblinkingly into Jia Yuan Chun's. It occurred to me that this might be his way of expressing anger. Impudent child! How dare he stand me down like that? Then you are welcome to try. 1 month! You have but 1 month to prove all in the audience that she is, indeed, fit to be the family hierarch. Should you fail, the vote may as well be a mere formality. In other words, should she successfully prove herself, none of you shall again rightly challenge the independent rights and powers bestowed upon the family hierarch. The consequences of such recalcitrance would be no different from those that the traitors are facing. Wouldn't you agree? Well then, we'll excuse ourselves now. Wait, I'm... Zigong turns around towards us with that same mysterious smile and slowly directs us outside the assembly hall. We call them sparring matches, but you must know that each and every one of them is a test to prove your claim to the seat of the family hierarch. A month is a time far too brief for drastic improvement. Regardless of how harm it may be, learning from a proper master for 10 months straight might teach you a few things, but who knows how long the search for one such master might take, not to mention the official channels through which you must bring them past Donkon Yon's walls, which may take up to 2 months. Why not relent now and relinquish a part of your powers as the family hierarch to the board of directors? It seems that this fellow outsider's mental faculties are impressively lacking. My lord has spoken in the past that when in presence of 3 people, at least one of them is bound to be a teacher of mine. And here they are, aren't they? Jia Xingshan's masters, each carrying something new to teach her. All 13 of them. Zigong gestured confidently toward the flabbergasted sinners, and the assembly came to an end. We're teachers now, bruh. Well, one of them came and speak to them with our translator, but still, we're teachers now. Great. Oh, my mouth is torturing me, bro. It doesn't make it any better that I have to read all this. We were planning to train Xing Shan anyway, but it seems that we are now under an unexpected deadline. Something just popped up in front of my screen? That was so annoying. Hey, when you said LCB was going to help me out, did you guys mean that you were going to publicly humiliate the crap out of me at the assembly? Haha. Of course not, Xing Shan. I just made a face right there with that weird haha from the first one. Big sister Yuan Chun's an old snake. You're just giving her 13 days to set the perfect stage for my downfall, to prove to the world once and for all that I'm not qualified at all to be the family hierarch. But Xing Shan, weren't you always so good at humbling anyone who dared underestimate you? Not so much anymore. Back then, like an idiot, I thought I just had to hold on with everything I had. I thought that's all I ever had to do. But now, things are different. It's true that I'm vastly underqualified to be the family hierarch, and she's right. I pretty much lucked into this position. Xing Shan, don't tell me that woman's bullshit actually got to you. Well, she wasn't completely wrong, right? I'm just some kid who happened to be just good enough to survive through some traps and ambushes. I'm afraid that the responsibility of a family hierarch might be too much. Her self-confidence has significantly decreased compared to the observation from our previous interaction. The heck, Xing Shan? I don't remember you being this kind of character. What happened to the girl who looked down on us the moment we met? You even had the audacity to pretend not know who we were, didn't you? Where'd all that confidence go, girl? Why did I say it like that? That actually got under her skin back then. Oh. So, Xingshun, what do you want to do? Are you sure you're okay with this? Are you okay with letting this happen? If I let it happen, Mr. Yuan-chan's going to continue expanding her influence here. I'm sure she and the board of directors have been cozying up to each other for a long time. Is the implication that her testaments on her influence were true? Yep, it's true. Before she left for Court, Big Sister Yuan-chan used to always accompany Jia to these assemblies. If we just let them hold the vote of no confidence, they're going to unanimously vote against me, and slowly reduce the family hierarchy's scope of power, and who knows, might even call for a re-evaluation, however unlikely that sounds. Besides, Big Sister Yuan-chan, I think her definition of Hong Kyun's prosperity might be different from mine. What she's looking for isn't H Corp's prosperity, it's Deng Yuan's. And I know this all has something to do with its ties to Q Corp, which I bet has already been going on for a while just under my radar. I'm sure they've already had plenty of talks behind my back. Which is not the kind of vision you have on Hong Kyun's future, right? And that's why you spoke up against her. Did my nails just... Well, of course it did. Okay. My vision for Hong Kong is... I want to change H Corp to be the kind of place where people can live without fear. I must never imagine I have to prove myself like this. Whoops. In only 30 days. Even then, your vision hasn't changed, right? It hasn't. Great. So it's decided then, huh? We just need Fao to deliver the bad news to Sunday. So to summarize, the responsibility of training Xingshun to win these matches, these amorphous tests upon which hinges the family hierarchy's fate, and almost every facet of which is entirely under Jia Yuan-chan's control. By the way, and is probably a trap within the next 30 days is ours. And we have to explain that to Sade? Wow, that sounds like a lot of work when you put it like that. Post-mortem reports have become quite rote. Sometime later. Prithee, don't much impressed upon the illustrious red gaze that twas mine idea this time. Sinclair stared blankly at Don Quixote as she made her desperate plea towards Sade. Yes, and I still understand that as well, for the 8th time. As always, Sade was wearing the same refreshingly incomprehensible smile. The kind of smile that makes people increasingly anxious the longer it lasts. Well, that gives us about 30 days, during which those sparring matches, tests, whatever, will be happening as well. Great! Then let's give it our best. Sinclair mutters in a near whisper, clearly feeling responsible for what happened. Yes, I understand. I never should have stepped out of line like that, but something just... Yeah, so let's give it our best. I totally agree. We messed everything up again, and... What? Limpus Company was always going to remain here and assist Miss Jia Xingshun acclimatize herself to the responsibilities of the family hierarchy. It was always a part of our plan. Well, I sure am glad that I took Frost's advice about how meticulous planning is completely pointless when it comes to LCB's missions. I never would have had to submit 9 separate disciplinary incident reports back during the J-Corp incident had I known. I believe I should be able to explain this further. Prior to his departure, my lord was concerned that such a thing would come to pass. That is why he has left Zilu and I here to look after the new family hierarch's position, which must still be on rather thin ice. Oh, so that's what they were privately talking about when he pulled them aside. Doing nothing and allowing her wicked machinations to progress would have irrevocably made the entire board of directors not but put it in your son's hands. And that would have led that snake to de facto assume the seat of the family hierarch. Against such an insidious foe who wields intrigue as her weapon, the most viable strategy is the most direct one, to challenge her head on. Besides, this has not given you the excuse you needed to prolong your company's stay in Dongcheonyun. This is also a prime opportunity for Jia Xingshan to further solidify her influence here, depending on the outcome of the vote with no confidence. Excuse me. They have played right into our hands by accepting this deal. So, I don't want to rain on everyone's parade, but are we not even going to consider what might happen if we fail? No, we are not, because you will not fail, not with us aiding your efforts. Also, were you serious back there when you said that we were all going to teach Jia and Xingshan, all 12 of us? I won't object to selecting only a few of us with a better aptitude to be educators. How I say that, bro? By the way, we already have an established internal hierarchy based on the sum of each of our abilities. Of course, the results were entirely to my satisfaction due to an unexpected incident. Miss Otis, that is, a statement mired in narrow division, rife with factual reflections. I understand that the qualities of a good teacher are defined not by such I can't speak statistics. So, you must be the one who placed last in that scale. Just don't say anything, bud. Best not to stand out like a sore thumb. I may have overreacted then. His tongue is going on my nerves. It's making me speak English so much weirder. Okay. My lord has said that from the virtuous we may learn to replicate their merits, from the hard we may learn to avoid their failings. As long as the student is willing to learn, anything can be a teacher. I also, to embrace this teaching, seek from all those who we come across. Just what in the heavens are you doing? Aha! I am preparing a lesson plan for young Xingshan, our family hierarch. Wow, you sure got on that fast. So, what are these yellow wormy things here? Aha! There's a star. She said yellow worming things. You telling me her stars look like worms? Twinkling in its radiance. According to the schedule you have prepared, the student would have -3 hours available for sleep. The lesson plan's execution will require cooperation from T-Corp. Yeah! Could be a mistake most fatal indeed. I shall correct it post-haste. She is not impressed. Xingong was staring at Don Quixote's expression of her wild artistic merit upon the curriculum with her usual crescent moon eyes. Wait, is that supposed to be Xingong's grimace? Ah, of course. Each to their own, I suppose. I need not be shaken by every little thing until we have the actual lesson plans in hand. Hey, thanks for putting your faith in us, Yingong. We barely have any of that to go around ourselves, so I understand it couldn't have been easy. You could say that I have learned my lesson. The recent events have taught me that the path of learning is truly one without end. If it's more story, I'm actually gonna freaking struggle even more, bro. It's gonna be more story all the time, mostly. Please have some. Oh my god, it's still mostly story. I was gonna say, please have some fighting in it. Nope. Nope. It doesn't shorten it for me. I see that you have all individually worked on your lesson plans as per Xingong's request. Whoa! I can see why people like you now. I have received a total of 12 lesson plans. Hold on, shouldn't there be 13 of them? Even the executive manager has decided to spare their precious time to teach class. Huh? Yeah, I handed in my lesson plan too. That is because... so who didn't do their homework? After a brief silence, everyone turned around and looked at one of the sinners. You know, if it really is Heathcliff, I'm not surprised. It ain't me. Oh, please. At least try to make a compelling argument. Who else other than you could it possibly... Okay, that still makes some sense. It's me. You... Sick? You've been acting out of Canada a lot recently. What's going on? Well, that's... Sinclair was drenched in sweat for some reason. Actually, in Sinclair's seat was a large stack of papers, each filled to the brim with writing. Sinclair, are these papers? Phew, I'm done. Oh wait, yeah. Technically, shouldn't Sinclair be the best option? He's like one of the only few sinners we only saw actually being in the school. We don't even know if the others went to his school. Wait, no, they didn't say most of them were going to his school. Bro. Sorry, I got too into making the lesson plan and just couldn't stop myself from writing. Whew. I'm like, bro, he went to school. Should he be ideal for this type of lesson stuff? Because, you know, he knows how lessons work by being in the lessons themselves. Sinclair couldn't have appeared more proud as he placed that big bundle of sweat-soaked papers in Zilu's hands. She's like, damn. And she receives it with mild trepidation. It seemed to have dedicated quite the momentous effort in drawing up this lesson plan. That's a lot of pauses. What's up with her? Let's start with reviewing from the first of the stack. 108 Analytical Approaches to an AAA. What does AAA mean? And how do you plan to explore all 108 approaches in the month? Appreciation of artistry in assassination. This is why he's my favorite, bro. Bro switches up so quickly out of nowhere. F you went too far. Right, sorry. Flip a page and continue reading for those 108 approaches. What paint did you use? It's quite vicious and the paper has partially melted. Ah, lady, watch yourself. You almost got some on my arm. A painting? Bro, Zilu? Entrails? Coating the world? This is definitely Roshu's. Heh. Now you know how Aesthetics, appreciation, the artistry of slaughter. Just what the hell did you paint in that paper? Hey, get it together. What did she use? Zilu stumbled briefly. Whatever was on the paper must have given her quite the shock. My mind wandered for a moment. This is too dangerous to be used for a lesson. Let's go to the discard pile. Weak sauce. Zilu crumpled up the paper without hesitation and tossed it out of sight. Next. Intro to Societal. Oh no. Oh, sorry. Something just came up out of my throat. And it tasted disgusting. Reintegration. Impressive title. Chapter 1. How to shake hands with your left hand when the situation calls for it. Huh? Chapter 2. Exploration of exclusive long sleeve fashions and practices. Considering the fact that Gregor just appeared is his. Chapter 3. Projecting confidence and why having a bug on. Yep, it's totally cool. That's you know how it is. Be proud of who you are. All the philosophy stuff. I wanted this lesson to give a bit of a paradigm, whatever, shift, where we can all come to see our flaws not as failings, but as evidence of our individuality. Which will usher in a world where we can carry on with our lives, no matter what kind of arm we have. Discard. Next. Zilu quickly flipped through the pages. Intro to Denigrative Linguistic. Subheading. The power of words. Sticks and stones may break the bones. So let's add words to the pile. Oh. My credentials include the ability to dress down an opponent so hard that they fall to their knees and beg me to stop. I have plans for applications as well. The lesson teaches methods pertaining to disguising compliments and criticisms, and vice versa. All of this seems rather difficult to learn. I have concluded from hitherto observations that Jie Xingshun is an individual of great promise in this field. Following my instructions to a T, and I guarantee you that this cadet shall be able to have the upper hand in any verbal confrontations. Is this a curriculum to make the best brawler or the best family hierarch out of me? Zilu seemed quite interested, but Jie Xingshun's vehement veto eventually overruled the suggestion. On Justice. Another impressive title. Subheading. Methodologies of captivating an entire room of preoccupied audience. Discard. I'm not surprised that was yours. Lily, justice is in it. Fiandi! Wherefore? Next. Who wrote this? I'm not guessing this one. Paradox of ego splitting concerning intermirror conflict between the self and the reflection and paradoxically fractured theory of idealism in which idealism is this? I'm not gonna rush too much. In which one attempts to open an opening door to open the door to open to open an unopening door to open the door. Utterly incomprehensible. Discard. Literally, the word ideal gives you away, dude. Perhaps Miss Roshu's advice to truncate the lesson title should have been taken in earnest. Why is your lesson title so long, bro? Survival in exploration. 21 reasons to pay attention when the exploration team leader is giving advice on the upcoming adventure. Case study for 30 horrible mistakes that occurred because the team was distracted during the leader's lecture. How to track down a troublemaker who tries to sweep trouble under the rug while the team leader isn't looking. Someone ignored my advice that we should have been moving 2 steps ahead. Finally, I narrowed them down to the 3 culprits. Ah, wait, I forgot to take that part out. And into the shredder it went. Where did that paper shredder get here? Yeah, what did it get? Zilu, where are you pulling this stuff out? The art of using yawning as a cover for popping a cookie or two into your mouth is especially useful when getting lectured. Hey, if you get good enough at it, you can do that with nuts too. I won't say anything. Aha, so it was you who made those crunching noises in our last meeting. Why not? Do you take me for an amateur? The art of social maneuvers has to let it flow through you. Has to not make things awkward when you walk right in on someone bad-mouthing you. The most important part of this art is to flash a refreshing smile in a way that looks earnest. It helps when you convince yourself that smiling is what brings good fortune. Where did you come from? Smiles have a way of disarming people, giving them pause and making them hesitant. I remember that Big Bell used that technique to confuse a lot of Duncan people who hated him. I see. I can't quite bring myself to throw this into the shredder. Why'd I say it like that? Next, how to remain in complete silence for a week until the next command is received. Though, this lesson plan was designed based on Rodian's advice that I must prioritize strains that are unique to myself. Look, in my defense, I didn't know he considered that to be his unique strength, okay? Let us consider whether standing in complete stillness for a week is a quality one might seek in the family hierarchy. This one is certainly interesting. What separates bravado from bravery? Jack shite. Sod off and grab your weapon. Yep, always gotta read the full print. Heh. Ha! It's always my philosophy that reason don't necessarily need to be considered before coming to blows. Martial prowess is indeed an indispensable part of the family hierarchy's qualities, but our focus is not on developing a hierarchy of a syndicate. Next, information disparity as a driver of inequitable treatment. Oh? Huh. That's actually the most interesting sounding one so far. And the application of engineering frameworks. Okay, it's kinda losing me, but I'm still on board. For a systematic resolution and rational self-interest. Driven societies and... Is this still going? That was one fifth of the full title. Fast. Are you serious? It seems that the same trouble has hindered both you and I. Every word in that title was added to its absolute necessity. Indeed, indeed. After she had gone through the majority of our lesson plans. Finally. Now that that's over. Yet it's finally my turn. Whew. Sinclair sighed with the gravitas of someone who's just been bestowed with the most important mission in his life. Thinking back, even back in school, I used to daydream about becoming a teacher myself. I thought I could be good at it. So I guess you could say that I'm pretty happy to be given an opportunity like this. I call my lesson the theory on self-overcoming. We have to accept that everyone stumbles at first, but by always striving to be a better person than I was yesterday. Hey, but what if I like who I was yesterday more? That's okay. Everyone has their own unique potential but sleeping deep inside. So with everything I've learned and experienced so far, let me teach you. Let me teach you how to not doubt your own capabilities. How to always shoot higher. Hold on. You had me for a second there. What's up with acting like you're an infinitely more enlightened person than I am? Ah, of course. I've prepared a speaking class where you can learn how to speak with modesty too. I never would have imagined Sinclair would be this into it. Yeah, too bad he's so into it that he's not even listening to what Xing Shun is saying. Following that, the company's... it seems that Zilo has completed her review. Oh? I see. Now, how everything's going, everyone? Class prep going well? My curriculum most is special. Dang, I got that cry freaking somewhat spot on. I wouldn't say really spot on, but hey, still a good cry. Okay, so that's a no. Hold up, man. I'm trying to get my freaking... Bro! That was Sade's impression upon taking a quick glance at Don Quixote. He was sobbing and cradling the shredded pieces of her lesson plan in her hands. Well, it wasn't a complete bust at least. Sinclair's lesson plan survived. Phew! Miss Zingong, Miss Sade. I prepared a full 30 days worth of lesson plans. Would you like to take a look? Miss Zingong and Sade went looking at the dozens of lesson plans Sinclair presented so proudly before their eyes. They were looking away. Zingong especially was looking away with an unmistakable expression of pity. So he doesn't know. Would you mind explaining this, Zilu? I could not bring myself to tell him. Apologies. So, this young man produced his entire sizable stack of lesson plans all on his own. I see. Weakness has found its way into your heart in the face of such earnest effort. I understand. However, it has been decided that Sinclair will not be participating as one of Jia Xingshun's teachers. Oh my god, bro. Or should I call you Pupil Sinclair to be exact? This has gotta be a mistake, right? Isn't Xingshun the pupil here? No, there haven't been any mistakes. My lord has specifically instructed that you are to learn from this as well. What? What? Seriously? Oh my god. He did all that just to be later told he's a pupil. Oh my god, bro. You gotta be kidding me. This isn't right. Guys, this isn't right. Now this looks like a private classroom. It would have felt pretty dang empty with just Xingshun sitting there all on her own, don't you think? Besides, I bet Xing's the resident expert on going to schools, right? School was a luxury for me, you know. I feel so bad for Sinclair, bro. Why did no one tell him, bro? Yeah, maybe, but that doesn't mean I've ever wanted to go back to school. You should learn to be grateful. I don't dull out my teachings to just anyone. Don't forget we have to redo the whole lesson plan under their supervision. Otis, you always get on your soapbox and try to lecture everyone about their something after every single battle anyway. And you, Ishmael, you always get hyperfixated on something. Once you find something interesting, you never stop talking about it for 3 hours at least. And I will ensure you that you receive the best education I can provide, Sinclair. Hold on, Yisai. I thought we were the underdog duo. Remember during the checkup when I said, we got this? We were going to get this together. The evaluation painted a twisted picture of the true scale of strength, and the true measure of which initially relied entirely on physical might. I shall not hesitate to impart knowledge for those who require education. Congratulations, my lady. You have found yourself a desk mate, which some also call the best... What? Bestie, depending on the desk placement. Her face. Desk mate? Bestie? What the heck does that any of that? What the heck does any of that mean? Huh? Jia Shan's eyes widened with confusion, as though she just heard those words for the first time in her life. Ah, she. When I first met her when she was 16, she explained to me that she hadn't attended any school-like institutions. This is par for the course for children of Hong Kong who are raised for the purpose of becoming the next family hierarch. The reason being that schools can be a perfect place to assassinate someone. So, this makes mates and besties. Sinclair began to explain, seemingly resigned to the fact that he was essentially going back to school for a month with the other sinners as his teachers. Usually sit next to each other and help one another out. A bestie might nudge the other awake when they doze off, share their homework with one another if one forgets to do theirs. They usually end up being included in the best memories of each other's school time. So not very pointed at all, huh? I think I got this on my own. I don't need a bestie. I just want to put my hand on his shoulder and just say, I don't know what to say, but I just want to put my hand on his shoulder and just try to comfort him, man. It may have come a few years late, but I moved that my lady finally has a chance at experiencing a school. Okay, same here. I remembered it like yesterday. Singshan would sit and watch over kids walk to school from a distance, tears welling in her eyes. Dude! Oh, that reminds me. One day, out of nowhere, she started saying something about eating from lunchboxes for friends. I haven't a clue as to how or where she even heard about it, but she snuck into the kitchen and... Wait! Don't you guys have lesson plans tonight? Come on, hurry up! 30 days are ticking down. We've only got 30 days! Of course. Unfortunately, I've become quite occupied with another task of great importance, assisting away with indexing and reviewing various documents that are in the critical need of organizing. Thus, I must leave the lesson planning task to you two, Zilu and Miss Sade. Have you any thoughts on this matter? Slacker. What was that? I said nothing. How out of everyone to be placed into this, went to school, leaves it, ends up going right back to school. 0.